Okay, let's go ahead and do one more branching example. So we're not going to program this one all the way out, but we're going to step through the process to see how many decisions we need to make and the paths we might take. So it says write a program that determines which gas law equation to use. If you don't remember from chemistry, there's 5 main gas law equations to use. This one applies when we're not at standard temperature and pressure. These ones apply if we are at standard temperature and pressure. Okay, so that's my first decision. I need to decide whether or not I'm at STP. So if I'm not at STP, so that's tilde, that squiggly thing is not STP, I use van der Waals. And then if I'm at STP, now I have one of many options. So then I need to choose between Boyle's law, Avogadro's law, Charles' law, and the ideal gas law. So Boyle's law is going to occur, so Boyle's law, when I'm varying only pressure and volume. Okay, I'm going to use, which one's next? Avogadro's law. If I'm only varying volume and number of moles. I would use Charles' law. When I am varying volume and temperature. And then I have my ideal gas law as my default. Okay, so I have two sets of decisions to make. My first one, whether or not I'm at standard temperature and pressure. My second one, if I'm at standard temperature and pressure, I need to decide between Boyle's, Avogadro's, Charles, and ideal gas law, and it depends on what variables are changing and how many time points I have. So if I was to write something called pseudocode to look this up, or to diagram this out, it might look something like this. So if, and then here I'm not at standard temperature and pressure. If I'm not at standard temperature and pressure, then I'm gonna use van der Waals equation. Otherwise, I am at standard temperature and pressure at STP. And now I'm gonna go ahead and make another decision. Decide between Boyle's, Charles, Avogadro's, and ideal. So I've got an if statement inside of my if statement, which is totally fine. So if I am varying pressure and volume, then I would use Boyle's law. Else if varying volume and moles, volume and N, I would use Avogadro's law. Else if I am varying volume and temperature, I would use Charles' law. Else, use the ideal gas law. And then N. So that's what it might look like. Obviously, these are not my conditionals. I just have comments in there as placeholders. But we would go ahead and decide, okay, how do I decide if I'm not at standard temperature and pressure? I would figure out what my temperature is, how much variability I need. Same thing with my pressure, how much variability I'm going to allow for us to be at standard temperature and pressure. Invert that to do not at standard temperature and pressure. And then I can go ahead and program in van der Waals equation. If I'm varying pressure and volume, we might need to go ahead and ask another question or detect if I have 2 pressures and volumes and R and T don't change. So our conditional statements need to match what we're trying to go ahead and decide, but this is what our pseudocode might look like. This is how we might design our if statements. We just need to be a bit more specific in writing our conditionals to determine, okay, what does it mean to vary pressure and temperature? What variables do I need to look at? What comparisons do I need to make? How do I need to combine my individual questions? Another thing to note is indentation. So this if statement is collective, so I'm choosing between this or this. This if statement is independent, so I'm choosing between this one, this one, this one, or this one. At any point in time, if you need to indent your code properly, you can press Control A and then Control I. You can also highlight all of it and press this indent button up here, and that will go ahead and indent everything appropriately for you. Indentation is super important when it comes to understanding if statements and which decisions we're making, and how they group together with other decisions that we might be making. So that's a big scale showing nested if statements, so if statements inside of if statements, and how we might go through the process of making multiple decisions and what that might look like.